It was 2 a.m., and there I was standing in my garage with zip ties in one hand and 200 feet of aircraft cable in the other. Now, I don't know what I expected either. I'd become a local legend or I'd end up behind bars. And honestly, at that point, I wasn't even sure which outcome I'd prefer. You know, that moment when someone pushes you so far that you stop caring about consequences and start caring about getting creative. Yeah, that was me, all because of Karen Westfield, the HOA president. What she didn't know, though, was that I wasn't just some regular guy. I'm a mechanical engineer. For 6 years, I designed theme park rides, crazy, gravity-defying, mind-bending rides. So let's just say I know how to make things go up, down, spin, and twist in ways that break the laws of both physics and common sense. But here's the thing, what I was doing well, it wasn't about right or wrong. The real question is, would you have done the same if you knew what Karen had been doing to me, to my family, and to half the neighborhood? If you knew what it felt like to be stuck in her web of rules and fines, all while she hid behind a clipboard and a fake smile. But before I get too deep into it, drop your city name in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from and whether your neighborhood has a Karen like this, because I'm starting to think they're everywhere. All right, let's rewind a bit. 6 months before the whole garage incident, back when I thought HOA meetings were just a minor inconvenience instead of a full-blown life-wrecking machine. I moved my family into Meadowbrook Estates in April, this nice suburban development with houses that looked like they were cloned and those weird lamp posts that don't actually light up anything. The first 2 weeks. Perfect. My wife Sarah loved the kitchen. My daughter Emma already had 3 friends. And best of all, I was finally close enough to work that I didn't spend half my life stuck in traffic. Then, of course, I met Karen. It was a Saturday morning and I was in the driveway washing my truck, minding my own business, when a silver Lexus pulls up. Out steps this woman in what can only be described as business casual meets suburban warfare. Pressed khakis, a polo shirt with the HOA logo, and sunglasses that probably cost more than my mortgage payment. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she says, but her smile, it's like a tax audit in human form. "I'm Karen Westfield, HOA president." She goes on like that's supposed to mean something to me. "I wanted to personally deliver your welcome packet and go over a few violations I noticed." Violations? I had been here 2 weeks. Violations? I ask, soap suds dripping off my hands. She taps her iPad like she's conducting a symphony of misery. "Your truck," she says, pointing at my perfectly normal F-150, is parked facing the wrong direction in your driveway. Section 7.3.2 of the HOA bylaws clearly states that all vehicles must be parked facing the garage, not the street. Would I look at my truck, then at her, then back at my truck, trying to process this nonsense? "You're joking, right?" She doesn't even flinch. "I don't joke about property values, Mr. Harrison." Then she goes on about my garbage cans being visible, my lawn having some unapproved mowing pattern, and how my daughter's pink bicycle was visual clutter. Apparently wreaths on doors need approval too. And then she hits me with the final blow: "I'm giving you 72 hours to fix these violations, or you'll receive a citation with a $50 fine per day per violation." She hands me this packet that's basically the length of a novel, gets back in her Lexus, and drives off. And there I am, soap still dripping off my hands, feeling like I've just been hit by a freight train of stupidity. But wait, it gets worse. Over the next month, Karen became my personal nightmare. Driving by my house twice, sometimes 3 times a day, hunting for violations like a cop with a quota. I got fined for having a hose on the side of the house, for a bicycle in the driveway, for a wreath on the door that wasn't approved. And the best one, I got fined $50 for having my car in the driveway for more than 4 hours while I was detailing it. Every single violation came with a fine. And when I tried to dispute them at the monthly HOA meeting, Karen had a whole PowerPoint ready showing photos of my house from every angle like I was a criminal. The rest of the board, they were either terrified of her or too checked out to care. Tom, my neighbor, pulled me aside after one of those meetings and warned me, "Dude, just comply. Trust me. I fought her for 6 months and she made my life miserable. I almost sold my house. But I'm stubborn. Too stubborn, maybe." And the more she pushed, the more I dug in. I started documenting everything, taking photos, saving emails, even recording the time she drove by my house. It felt more like stalking than enforcement. Then I made the mistake of filing a formal complaint about harassment. Karen didn't take kindly to that. She called an emergency meeting, accused me of harassment, and slapped me with a $1,000 fine for conduct unbecoming of a community member. My wife Sarah started having panic attacks every time she saw that silver Lexus. Emma stopped playing outside because Karen yelled at her once for drawing with chalk on our driveway. And to top it all off, Karen had put a lien on our property for unpaid fines, which meant we couldn't even sell our house without paying her off. At this point, I was spiraling. I wasn't sleeping. I was losing weight. My work performance was tanking. And I realized this woman had hijacked my entire life over garbage can placement and lawn mowing patterns. So I did what anyone would do when they're desperate. I hired a lawyer. The consultation cost me $300, and you know what he told me? HOA bylaws are legally binding contracts. She's within her rights. But of course I could fight it, but it would cost tens of thousands of dollars and take years. The only other option move. That night I couldn't sleep. Lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling. Sarah whispered, "Maybe we should just do what she wants. I can't take this anymore." And that's when it hit me. Something broke inside me, not violently, but with a clarity I'd never had before. Karen wasn't going to stop. She didn't want compliance. She wanted control. She wanted me to submit. And the moment I did, she'd just find another way to exert power. So I started planning no, not revenge. Not yet. But I started gathering information. I went to every HOA meeting, read every page of the bylaws, and joined the neighborhood forum. And that's when I realized I wasn't the only one. Karen had targeted at least 8 other families in the development. The Johnsons got fined because their daughter's birthday party had too many cars. The Martinez family got fined for their baby crying too loudly. Old Mr. Peterson got fined for having a bird feeder. Literally sparrows. Everyone had stories. Everyone had paid thousands in fines. And everyone was terrified because Karen had weaponized the HOA and was using it to bleed people dry. But no one knew why. Why was she like this? Tom had a theory she was a control freak. Mrs. Chen thought maybe she had a miserable home life and took it out on others. But I started digging deeper. Public records, property transfers, the HOA's finances. And what I found, that's when everything clicked. Karen had been president for 7 years, and in that time, the HOA's operating budget had exploded from $40,000 to nearly $200,000, all from violation fines and special assessments. But where was the money going? The community pool was still falling apart. The playground was rusted. The landscaping was crap. So I filed a request to review the HOA's financial records. And you know what she did? Denied it. Flat out. So I filed another request using legal language my lawyer friend helped me write. 2 days later, Karen shows up at my house. And when I open the door, she's standing there, phone out, recording me. "Mr. Harrison," she says, "sweet as honey, you're being cited for a violation of Section 12.5, harassment of board members." She was filing a restraining order against me for asking to see public records. I was furious, shaking with rage. What the hell do you do when the system is rigged and the person in charge is untouchable? That night I retreated to the garage, avoiding it since we moved in because it was full of unpacked boxes and old theme park equipment, and started digging through old stuff. Then an idea started to form. A dangerous one, a stupid one. But after months of being powerless, the thought of having some control felt like oxygen. So I started planning.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.